Welcome to Stories Worth Hearing. I'm your host, John Quick. Today, I am joined by Dr. Morgan, a relationship coach and author who helps people break unhealthy patterns and build stronger, more fulfilling relationships. She is the author of Love Magnet, How to Stop the Relationship Roller Coaster and Attract the Love You Deserve, where she dives into why so many of us repeat the same cycles in love and how to change them. In this conversation, we talk about relationships, self-awareness, boundaries, and what it really takes to attract the right kind of connection. You can find links to Dr. Morgan's coaching work and her book in the podcast description. I am glad you are here. Let's get into it.
Well, Dr. Morgan, welcome to the show. I'm super excited you're on today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, this will be fun to chat. You are a bit of a relationship expert, so I think this will be fun for my audience to kind of get into and probably learn a lot from. But kind of first take me back to what got you into this field in the first place. I know everybody's got a story about how they kind of got into the field, to their job or to the field that they love. Tell me the backstory on what made you do that.
Yes, like so many people who find themselves in the mental health field, I had my own relational trauma, childhood trauma growing up. I lost my mom. I was age 6. And then basically after that, there was a lot of chaos in my life. And I watched my dad go through relationship struggles and get married and get divorced and get married and get divorced. And I just became fascinated with relationships and healing from a very young age.
So, a lot of folks come to you because maybe they're stuck in a relationship. Tell me about some of those maybe patterns or things that you see that probably see all the time. Those big things I think that everybody struggles with. Talk to me a little bit about those things that folks come to you for.
Absolutely. So I do a lot of work with attachment styles. You may have heard of this, but I think a lot of people are stuck in insecure attachment dynamic relationships. So either they have an anxious attachment style or they have an avoidant attachment style. And then they are dating someone who also has an insecure style. And this just leads to a lot of pain and heartbreak. People who are dating based on their unfinished childhood trauma, the unfinished business from their past. They're dating based on that instead of compatibility. So it's this thing, I could nerd out on this, but it's called repetition compulsion. We're repeating unhealed dynamics from our past. And then the brain has a subconscious desire that we'd get a different outcome this time. So if I could just get that different outcome, it'll make up for everything I experienced in the past. And so many people are doing this, they don't even realize it.
So how does somebody, probably people are listening to this and being like, okay, that makes total sense. Like, crap, I've been doing the same thing for 20 years. How does somebody, without giving away the farm, how does somebody break a pattern like that? Because I think that's there's probably a bunch of tough points in the process of becoming a better you, but one of them is identifying probably what the thing is, and then how the heck do you fix it? So how do you see folks, clients of yours being able to reach through that barrier and kind of go about fixing that? Or is it even fixable?
The good news is it is fixable. There used to be information out there that said that it wasn't, that your attachment style is just your attachment style. But we now have so much research and evidence that you can rewire your brain and become securely attached and have a healthy relationship, even if you've never had one before. It is always possible. And the first step, I'm glad you asked this, it's just awareness. It's, hey, you're listening to this podcast, right? It's radical honesty about you being the common denominator in your relationships. You are the common denominator. It's not the dating scene. It's not whatever. It's taking that radical ownership and building that awareness.
Why do you think it's so? I'm a big fan of counseling and therapy. I go see a counselor myself personally, but why do you think it's such a big deal for somebody just to make that step? Because I think it's such a, folks almost see it as like a weakness, right? And so why do you think that is such a huge step for people to overcome? Just being vulnerable enough to go see a therapist or a counselor or a pastor or whatever it may be?
That's a great question. I think we live in a world where there are endless distractions. There are so many ways to numb ourselves and distract ourselves. And as humans, we're constantly avoiding pain. And there's a lot of pain in finally being able to acknowledge and sit with your past trauma, right? There's pain. So I think just as humans, we're avoiding pain. We're just not even wanting to acknowledge that it's there. And by doing that, we're allowing ourselves to have a lifetime of suffering, right? It's like when you admit, "Hey, I have an issue, there's things I need to work through," you're saying, "I'm willing to go through short-term pain so that I can avoid that lifetime of suffering." But it's just so easy in our world to distract ourselves and pretend like we don't have anything to work on, right? There's endless
Yeah.
distractions.
So one of the things that's interesting to me is you've taken a route to kind of be out in the public. A lot of folks that are in psychiatry or psychology or counseling, they have got their little practice in their town that they live in and they kind of keep to themselves. You've decided to get out there in front of social media and have a different take and maybe casting a bigger net than most folks do in this profession. What made you decide to do that? Kind of like the entrepreneur
Yeah.
side of your practice as opposed to just opening up a small practice in your hometown or something like that?
So there's layers to this question. I was about 32 and living in La Jolla, California, had a private practice. I could go to the beach on my lunch break. Had spent, 12 years in higher ed, getting my doctorate. And I remember being there and just thinking, oh my God, is this all there is? Is this all that there is for the rest of my life? I'm going to show up and see 30 clients a week. And this is all the impact that I'm going to make. And it was kind of at that moment of living my dream life that I'd worked so hard for that I realized, wait, I have a lot more to give and I have a lot more people that I want to be able to reach. And I'm an accidental entrepreneur. I'm absolutely heart-centered. I know some people say that and they don't mean it. I really am. And I think it's because of my own childhood trauma. I just wanted to help as many people as possible. So I launched a social media account. And back then it was controversial. I had psychologists DMing me saying,
They're
this
like,
is
"Is everything okay
illegal.
with you?"
Yeah, this is illegal. You can't do this. And now, it's so much more commonplace. But I'm incredibly grateful that I've taken the non-traditional path because I have thousands of people I get to help.
Okay, so you went on to write a book, which I think is awesome. It's called Love Magnet. Tell me a little bit about why you wrote the book and the premise of the book.
There's two things. There is an existing book called Attached by Amir Levine, and that was kind of the go-to book in the attachment space. But the issue I have with it is it said that you couldn't rewire your brain to become secure. It was kind of like, if you have an avoidant attachment style, good luck, and you better go find someone that's secure. And it pissed me off. Like, in all honesty, that really bothered me that was what people were, that was the main message people were getting. So it was partly that. And then I wrote the book for the younger version of me, for the person that was in toxic relationship after toxic relationship, that just needed a no BS, clear path to this is how you can heal and start to have healthy relationships.
So for folks listening in, give us some red flags that people can look for in a relationship. I'm sure there's like extreme red flags that everybody knows about, right? Like if you're getting physically
Yeah,
abused or something, obviously don't keep pursuing that relationship. But give us some folks some things to look out for that maybe you talk about in your book or that you work with clients on. And just because I think the average everyday person sometimes probably doesn't even realize that they're maybe in an unhealthy relationship.
absolutely. I think one of the things people need to realize is you have to pace your emotional investment. A lot of people are just going way too quick. They're going 55 in the 25-mile-an-hour zone, and they're getting way too invested without knowing this is a safe relationship to invest into. So I always tell all my clients, you have to be the love scientist. You're gathering the data And there's something I teach them called reality testing, because we have to do this. We have the research that supports this. Our brain is almost as if it's on drugs, right? When we're in the early stages of a new relationship, we have to actively ask ourselves, what is the reality of this relationship? How much time have I actually spent with this person? What do I actually know about them? What is the evidence? Do they do what they say they're going to do? Are they honest? Right? So practicing reality testing helps you not get into the fantasy world. A lot of us fill in the blanks of who we want the person to be without actually having evidence that that's who they are. So slow down. Secure attachment loves a slow burn.
And then what are your thoughts on, um, let's say somebody's in a relationship? I think oftentimes it's easier to say the other person needs to fix themselves, right? It's easier to kind of
Mm.
point at the other person. What's your take on, um, either that person just focusing on themselves or having a balance of maybe working together to fix the problem? Do you find it that things resolve themselves better if, the person in the relationship focuses on bettering themselves as opposed to fixing the other person?
I love that you asked this. I love that you asked this. So in a healthy relationship, ideally, you would have both individuals taking ownership for their individual stuff. You would have both people saying, hey, I know that I have things I need to work on. And honestly, the fastest way to change your relationship is to change yourself. You actually can't make another person change, right? I think so many of us have tried, but you can't. So if you want to change your relationship dynamic, the fastest way, change yourself. When you show up differently, your partner is going to have a different response. And then you're modeling to them, hey, this is how I want to show up. But one of the worst things, I've done a lot of couples therapy. One of the worst things is when you have one partner doing all of the emotional labor. And I think a lot of us can relate to that, of when you feel like you're alone and you're the only one that is fighting for the relationship. For it to be a healthy relationship, both people do have to take ownership of their individual healing. And actually, the work you do as an individual is probably going to be even more beneficial than the couple's work, in my experience.
What's your thoughts on like sticking it through just no matter what? Because let's say, maybe they have kids or they have joint bank accounts or like these things in life that happen that people have together. And I think there's kind of been a mantra of like, we're just going to stick it through no matter what. What are your thoughts on that as opposed to, okay, these two people just aren't made for each other. It's better if they just part ways and go about their lives separately.
Oh, such a good question, isn't it? You know, um, uh, I would say this, it is so much better for you to both be healthy individuals. If you are causing each other harm by staying together, and God forbid you're causing your children or other people around you harm by staying together, emotional, abuse, whatever it may be, then you can't be together ultimately. And we have to set models of wanting to be emotionally well and wanting to be emotionally happy. Two people together who are miserable, it's just not a good model for anyone, right? And it's so painful. But I will say this, I am so for prevention in everything. I just got married in August, actually. Thank you. And there was so much work into building a healthy partnership, and we've actually been together for 5 years. So I'm all about walk into marriage very, very intentionally. Do as much work ahead of time as you possibly can. And I think that goes a long way.
So, if there's folks listening in and they want to hear more, maybe they were like, man, I need to call Dr. Morgan up because I need to have a coaching session or a counseling session. Are you accepting new clients? Do they have to live in your state? Does it have to be in person? Tell me a little bit about that side of your business and how somebody could contact you.
This is one of the reasons I love coaching. I'm able to work. I have clients all over the world. I'm really fortunate. I get to help, so many people. We are accepting clients, yes. And honestly, what I would say, if you're interested in this, go to my podcast. It's called Let's Get Vulnerable. There are over 600 plus episodes on all things relationships, attachment styles. So go start there. And then if it resonates, there will be a link in the show notes. You can get in contact with me.
Nice. Well, folks listening, I'll put a link in the podcast description, not only for Dr. Morgan's podcast, but also her book, Love Magnet. I want to encourage folks to go check that out, get a copy for yourself. 20 minutes here has gone by in a flash. Do you have any last minute thoughts here before we head off?
I would just want people to know that it's never too late to have a healthy relationship. And also that a healthy relationship is probably something so much better than you can even imagine. I was just talking with my husband about this. Healthy, secure relationships are not perfect. I think we have this idea that they're perfect. They're not perfect, right? It's this ability to be with someone that says, I see you fully for who you are. I see you in the messiness. I see you in the imperfection. And I want to choose you every day and work with you to build something meaningful together. And I just think so many people are kind of missing out on that. And it's never too late. You can always create it.
Amen. Well, folks listening in, thank you so much, Doctor, for your insights and your thoughts. Nothing changes if nothing changes. So, yes. Folks, if you're spurred on by some of these words, go check out her podcast and our book. You're welcome back anytime, Doctor. We hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you for having me.